Thanks, Darren. Great to have that analogy around taking over the world. So it has been a really exciting journey for us, and thanks for the introduction, Darren. I have been with the business now 13 years, so I've seen lots of change over that time. I was just having a think about, I've shared lots of my sort of career aspects and the overview that was shared around the conference, but I was thinking over those 13 years actually there's been quite a lot of personal journey aspects that have also followed through that time. So I was thinking about it. I've been got engaged through that 13 years, got married, had 3 children living at home at the beginning. Now they've all left, and I'm now an empty nester. So lots of big milestones in my personal life as well over that time, which I just thought I'd share as a bit of context about myself. So I'm really keen and excited about sharing this journey that we've been on over the last little while. We've probably kicked off in about 2018, working with human synergistics, and we've explored lots of the different tools and aspects that they have on offer over that time. And so hopefully there's some interesting pieces in here that we'll just demonstrate a little bit about where we've come from and where we are at the moment, and also then where we're going to. Okay, so first of all, I'll talk a little bit about Constellation Brands as well. You may not have heard of Constellation Brands, but I'm sure you will have seen some of our products. We've had some details around some of the key initiatives. Now, there's a lot more than what I'll talk through today, but these are some of the things that I really feel have really brought us to where we are now. Still plenty that we're working on as well, so we'll talk about that as well. This is a little bit of an introduction video to our business, just so you get a bit of context around us. So raise your hand if you have seen some of those brands around or hopefully purchased some of them before. Fantastic, thank you so much. So in New Zealand, these are some of the brands that we represent and we have. One of them, Kim Crawford, is our huge export brand, #1 Sauvignon Blanc in the US market and in Canada from any country of the world. So go New Zealand. Celax is the #2 wine brand in New Zealand in the domestic market. So that's our big powerhouse here in New Zealand. And then I'm not going to go through all of them, but we're just about to launch our High West whiskey brand in New Zealand. So have a look out for that. It's pretty exciting. In the US, we do own the Corona brand, which again, I'm sure most of you will recognise. Unfortunately, we don't have the rights for that anywhere outside of the US, so it is a US-only brand, but that is really what pushes us to being a Fortune 500 company in the US market. As Darren mentioned, we're in the process of taking over the world. This sort of represents our US business, US only. We do have some production facilities in Mexico for the beer business, but that is all part of our US-based business. The rest of the world is ours. So from New Zealand, just from the 1st of March this year, so it is quite new, we are running the rest of the international division, which is pretty exciting. So across international, we have about 500 employees, and so we have people dotted all over the world. And so I won't go into all of the different locations. In New Zealand, we're about 250, but we've got a number of functions that are responsible across that whole international function, which is pretty exciting. In New Zealand, our operations include both the selling element, which is really what we're doing across international, but also our production facilities, so 2 wineries in New Zealand, one in Hawke's Bay, one in Marlborough, and then a wide range of different vineyards across the range as well. We export most of that product, and most of it is the Kim Crawford that we talked about, and you can see there it is a significant volume that is being exported. So I think we're number 5, wine is number 5 now on the export markets from New Zealand list. So next I'm going to talk about what the journey and the initiatives that we've been working on over the last few years, what they've been, and then we'll look at the outcomes. I guess why we started this journey is that we were really looking at, we've had engagement survey results for a number of years, and those results have been pretty good, but it's really hard to move the dial. So they've been pretty consistent and pretty similar year on year for a number of years. And so we really wanted to try and just dive in a little bit under the hood and say what's going on and how can we actually really make a difference to that culture. So what we did in 2020, we did our first culture survey, and I will show you the results of that one originally, and then the second one that we did last year, and the change that we have seen. And then in between that time, we've really kicked off some key initiatives, and these are the ones that I felt had moved the dial the most. So the first thing we did was we looked at our performance management program. It was a global program at the time, very US focused, very much around individual ratings and linking that into bonus payments and salary increases. So we really have revamped that program. We then looked at a new reward and recognition program from our first culture survey. That was one area that was much lower than we wanted it to be. And then lastly, we've really tried to look at how do we reinforce across the whole organisation our culture. Leadership's so key, and I've heard some great stories around some leadership programs and things today, so we've done a bit of that. But at all levels across, just reinforcing it everywhere is really has been important to us. So when we revamped our performance management program, we did have to go to the US and say, we don't want to use ratings anymore, can we please trial us? Which was an interesting process, but we got the okay to do that, and we kicked it off. We call our process goals and growth. We did start with performance and development and shortened it to P&D until we realised that in the vineyard that meant pest and disease, and we really didn't want to connect those two things together. So goals and growth was the new name that came up, and actually I much prefer it. It feels really positive, so I love it. We moved to quarterly goal setting and goal review rather than the annual process. We did away with all of our ratings. And we make sure that in those discussions that managers are having, that they actually are having discussions around the goals, setting and the review, but also their development. So career development, in-role development, everything. And then we check in every quarter to say how are the team finding those conversations? Are they working for them? Is there any improvement that their managers can make to really help those conversations to be as meaningful as possible? And so we do a quick survey. We started off just doing 2 questions, one around quantity and then one around quality. We've now, just this year, broken out the quality into 3 different areas so that we can get a little bit more granular for managers and give them a little bit more information about, which areas they might be able to spend a bit more time on with their team or focus in a bit more. So they're provided with their results every quarter. Our executive team are looking at it every quarter as well, so that we can actually put in that support where it's needed for those conversations to be as meaningful as possible. What that has meant when we've rechecked from our culture survey perspective is that we've seen some big increases in our results. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can have a quick look. Some of those jumps have been quite substantial, and it really has made a significant improvement. I think the thing that I have really liked with the quarterly surveys is that we've also found that we have an open field comments box that people can put comments into. And I'm always surprised at, one, that people are responding really actively to the survey. So I think we're getting between 75 and 85% completion rate of the survey every quarter. But the number of comments that people actually put in, and probably 90% of those comments are really positive as well. So that's always been a nice surprise. Switching to our recognition work that we did. So when we did the first survey, we found that the reward and recognition was lower than we'd like it to be. And so we put in a cross-functional team. It was not an HR-led project. We actually had a leader from out of marketing take a lead on it, which is why we've got some great outcomes. And ChairsMate was one of the outcomes of that. So they found that the big thing that was missing was the day-to-day, sort of really timely feedback and interaction and thank yous that the team were missing. So we put in place a ChairsMate program, so all of our managers got given a little kit, and every quarter the kit is refilled with some gift vouchers and some little gift cards, and so team members can now use these. They sit with the manager, but any team member can ask for one, and they can use those to recognise and thank people from within their team, from outside of their team, or from anywhere in the business and at any level. So that's been a really successful program and very well received, as I'm sure you would agree. So that was one aspect. The next one was a program we called Local Legends, and that's our sort of annual awards program. And so again, anyone in the business can nominate anyone for any of these categories. And then once a year we all come together at our different sites, but we're all connected via conferencing facilities, and we have a great awards evening. This is the Omaka Aviation Centre in Marlborough. It's a really great facility, and the team in Marlborough were there last year. This is a picture of them at the awards night. And then we also had the Auckland team together as well. So we've got that coming up in the next few weeks for this year as well. Of a team of 250 across New Zealand and Australia, we had 175 nominations this year. So really great to see so many nominations coming through as well. And you can see how we've improved from a recognition perspective as well. So certainly the program seems to be working well. Lastly, I'll just talk a little bit about how we're kind of reinforcing our culture at all levels. Firstly, leadership development, and as I said, great to hear how some of the other businesses are doing this. And it's a really key aspect. There's lots of measures. If you haven't seen the culture survey before, and the areas in there that look at leadership, it's a huge element. So such an important area that needs lots of focus. So we kicked off doing our LSI assessments with our leadership team in about 2018, I believe. And from there, it's just moved throughout the business. The way that we have done it is through an internal coaching program. So Darren kind of mentioned that is one of the really great ways to do it. It's not, though, led by our HR team, in that all of our exec members a couple of years ago were accredited, and they all commit time to coaching people within the business. So it's all an internal coaching program. We also did a leader as coach program and we have our sort of an official handover process where the ongoing coaching of each of the participants in that program then get kind of handed over back to their manager for that ongoing coaching and development as well. So that has worked really well. We also do team development by using the group styles inventory tool and the survival simulation tools. If you haven't used those in your business, I'd say it's a fantastic tool to use. Our teams love it. It really reinforces the circumplex, it really reinforces ways of working, so we use it a lot. We use it in our induction program and always get fantastic feedback about it, and it just really introduces people to the circumplex in a really fun and engaging way. So that's another way that we've used it. And then we also developed an internal way of talking about culture, which we use in a wide range of things. And rather than the 4 C's that Mitre 10 have, we have the 4 B's. So this isn't just for leadership. We use this at all levels, and we talk about this language all the time. So people constantly in the business talk about the 4 B's and how they can really be demonstrating those 4 B behaviours. The Be Yourself is really linked nicely with our diversity and inclusion program. So that's actually got some really nice synergies with it as well. We've got descriptors that go with these. If the clicker works. So people understand these and have a really good sort of interaction with them. If I then look again, and I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of numbers and words on here, but if I have a look at the areas where we've seen improvement with our culture results, you can see here that the ones that are sort of related back to teamwork have all increased, and the leadership developments as well. So fantastic results. We were absolutely delighted with the results we saw. Here is the journey we've been on. So you can see our results, weren't crazy to start with in 2020 when we did the first round of survey, but we have seen a significant shift within that time. We have done between the first one and the second one, and we've actually got another one about to kick off shortly, a pulse survey in between. That's been a real sort of check-in just on are the programs that we're putting in place having the impact that we want them to be without having to go through and do the whole survey again. So that's been really useful part of the process as well. We've still got work to do. You can see our ideal culture picture is pretty much all blue. So we've still got work to do, and the key one that we're still on a journey with is customer service, and really making sure that everyone in our business, including people on the ground in Marlborough and in our vineyards, and people that are merchandising our products in store, really connect with the customer. Much easier for someone in a merchandising role to connect with the consumer that they're meeting in the store or the customer that they're working with in the store. If you're in the vineyard, you're making a great product, but you don't necessarily understand or connect with the customer that's out purchasing the product. So that's still a journey we're going on, and that's a big focus for us going forward. And job design is the other area where we need to put some effort, and we've got some plans in place. And every department's working on some actions as well. So lastly, just to wrap up, if we talk kind of outcomes and results, and it's all very well to see what the percentage movements and things are, But we're hearing some really great things from within the business. We're getting some great feedback. Many of these comments came out of one of our, or a number of our quarterly survey results, so recent survey results. So they're actually taking the time to record some really great comments through that process. And we're seeing them return to us. So that's been really helpful as well. Just really quickly, safety has increased. We've been working on safety for 5 or more years, but we're seeing some fantastic outcomes there. Our goals and growth conversations, the quantity and the quality have both gone up quite significantly. Our financial performance, certainly fantastic, and that was really the belief from the beginning that if we improved our culture, that we would get better financial outcomes, and we've proven that, so that's fantastic. And then we're also getting external recognition through awards and being recognised, and I've tried to incorporate a number of different sort of types of awards in here, which is pretty cool. And then I guess in summary, a lot of time, energy and effort and investment has gone into what we've been doing, but we've seen the outcomes and we've seen the results from that. So from our perspective, it has all been worth it, and we're certainly not taking the foot off the pedal. The foot's fully planted on the pedal going forward, and we have lots of plans for what's next. So it's that never-ending journey, but it's great fun along the way. Thank you so much.